Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. Today's topic is about getting fired in clinical research. And I recently had a client email in about this situation. She felt like she was going to be getting fired in the next couple weeks and what to do about it. And so she did the right thing by emailing in, and we were going to work on a resume for her. We did and do interview prep with her for the new job because she knew the writing was on the wall. So people may not hear a lot about this in clinical research, but it does happen, and it can happen. This can happen in any industry. It's not peculiar to clinical research. But just to basically summarize, getting fired is one of those things that's very, very depressing. And she knew the writing was on the wall. And most time, a lot of people do know that they're going to get fired, or things are not going well, or their boss isn't happy with their work or whatever. And that's basically what she was hinting at, is that it seemed like the department was not happy with her work. But she had initially applied for the entry-level role, but they liked her so much in the interview that they ended up giving her a role that was probably a little bit too advanced for her background. This was, I believe, her first or second role in clinical research, but they brought her in as a senior position. I think this was a data coordinator position. So excuse me, whoever this person is, if you're listening and I got your position wrong. But basically the gist is still the same, that, the position was not working out. For some reason, the company did not want to demote her to the original position she had even applied for, because they had given her a promotion, basically when she was applying. They gave her the senior role and the senior title. And, things weren't going well, and she could see the writing was on the wall. So she had reached out to me and been proactive about the situation, which is something that you should do. If you know that you're going to be fired, or that it's getting to that point, you definitely want to make sure that your ducks are in a row and that things are going, or that you can benefit from the situation as best as you can. Because, it's not really a benefit when you're getting fired or going to lose your job, but there's some things you can do to make sure that you maximize the situation as best as you can. And one of those things is to be proactive. Go ahead and get your resume out there. Start applying for other jobs. That's one of the best things you could do, because the best time to apply for a job is when you already have a job. And you want to get your resume out there and apply like your life depends on it. Now, good thing about clinical research is there are typically a lot of jobs in the market at a given time. So I feel like it's one of the better industries to be involved in if you plan on job switching or getting fired, because I think you can get a job very quickly. And, so we're working on this in the meantime, and, she eventually messages me and tells me that they did indeed fire her. So, now she is without a job, but she is going to, be applying with my help with the resume review program. And of course, we're going to do interview prep when the time comes. But, there's a few things that you don't want to happen when you get fired. And one of those is going to be get depressed and get down on yourself. This is something that happens to everyone at some point, whether you quit because things aren't going well at your job or you get fired. This is something that happens to everyone. A lot of executives, CEOs even get fired. Tons of people all up and down the food chain get fired for whatever reason. And so this is not something where you want to get down on yourself. You just want to kind of collect your thoughts and know how to move forward. So, we talked about the first thing you want to do is apply to other positions. The second thing you want to do, and I thought this was interesting, is you want to get a review, what do they call this? I'm blanking on it right now in the middle of this episode. You want to make sure that you are able to go to your employer and they're going to give you a reference. There we go. A reference, not a review. So they're going to give you a reference. Now, most employers are going to be glad to give you a reference. They're going to give you a neutral reference. It's not going to say anything about you getting fired or the reason why they fired you or things of that nature. But if you want to go to maybe the manager you have a good relationship with, or someone at work you have a good relationship with, and ask for a positive or neutral reference to be used for your next employer when you are going to be applying for jobs, because they're going to ask for a reference. And most employers are going to be willing to do this because in today's day and age, they do not want the legal backlash. especially here in America. You can get sued if you fire people wrongly, if you don't do it properly, and you're out there putting negative things out there when you giving them negative when they are asking for references and you're giving them negative references. So that can come back to haunt the employer. So 9 times out of 10, they're going to say positive or neutral. They're not going to mention that. They want to see you go on to a good opportunity most of the time. So that's something you've got to think about, is who you're going to ask. A lot of times you have friends that you can ask for references at the company, however it may be. Your boss you may be good friends with, however it is. But you want to make sure that you have a couple good references so you can go on to your next role. One of the things that I do is I will use previous references from like even before that role. But you definitely want one from the role that you're leaving so that your new employer does not think that's strange that you don't have a reference from, your previous job, because you're most likely going to be using that experience to get your next experience, your next role. The other thing you got to think about is during the interview situation, what are you going to say to the question, what happened at your last job? Or they may ask a question, why are you currently looking for employment? Or there's an employment gap. And you really want to use that opportunity to kind of talk about how you've grown from that situation. You can keep it short and say, the opportunity didn't work out, so I wanted to, hop into applying for jobs full time. That's something I've seen that has worked. Or you can just address it head on and be like, it was one of those unfortunate situations that was bound to end up in parting of the company, and they ended up taking action before I did. And you could be like, I realize now that I should have expressed the concerns about the job, or my own concerns about the job, but instead of letting things fester, but I've learned from my experience that, blah, 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 blah. So, you really want to be positive about the situation and, act like you're moving forward, and then you move on from it. It's not one of those things that's going to end your career or end your life or anything like that. It happens to everyone, like I mentioned before, but of course it can be shocking when it happens the first time, or just shocking in general. And then the last thing I want to mention is this can happen to anyone at any time. So this is kind of a financial thing, and I've talked about this previously on the podcast, is you want to make sure that you have an emergency fund for these type of emergencies. So everyone out there, if you're listening, you want to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund at all times, just in case of these emergencies. And some people may even have even more. So if this happens, they may go, travel to China or something, or go on vacation or something for a few weeks. Take that opportunity to, really go see the world, or do something that they wanted to do that they couldn't when they had a full-time job, and then come back from that and jump right back into applying. But, the purpose of having that emergency fund is for things like this, these unexpected situations that may come up. And, just so you're not, having to take out a loan, or, move in with your parents or things of that nature. So just want to reiterate that, you having that emergency fund is really, really helpful for a number of reasons, this being one of them. So if you want to go listen to that episode, I think I forget the title of it. That was a while ago. But I talk about, the emergency fund being useful for that, but also when applying for jobs, because you don't have to go take, just any old jobs. You can be more patient if you have that fund there, where you can pay your expenses for the next few months. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Getting fired is never fun. And hopefully, there's a way to kind of spin it around to your benefit in the end. So if you need some help with that, you can email me at eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. Of course, if you're interested in any resume review or interview prep, or even just a strategy session, you can sign up for that. You can email me at eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. Take care, guys.